We the Ambazonia share the loyalty. With the Lord Savior, who granted us the freedom, allegiance to the heroes who bore the land with their blood. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation flowing with milk and honey. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation to joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Good afternoon, good evening, fellow soldiers in this road of liberation. We are meeting under difficult times. It's been a while since I provided update to our people, and I wanted to use this opportunity to call our people once more to arms in order to defend their revolution, our revolution, our hopes and dreams, our destiny. My fellow Ambalanders, in the midst of all our difficulties, in the midst of all our triumphs, the work to perfect the defense of our land goes on. Progress is being made, significant progress that is going to change the course of the revolution and set a foundation for the type of nation we will be tomorrow. My fellow Ambalanders, I am sorry to be coming this late, but I was on a call as we discuss and look for treatment for one of our soldiers who this morning had an accident in the laboratories that are being set up. Soldiers of the revolution, as we speak, the armory that a month or so back I came to you and explained the setting up of a national armory, the work of that armory is progressing at warp speed in 3 states of our land. Production has already begun in one. The completion of another will be done this week. And in the next couple of weeks or 3, I expect the completion of the 3rd armory. This is a game changer. It is a game changer to harness the ingenuity of our fighting men and women in the field, and the progress of this armory has shown in the past weeks in the increased deadliness of our IEDs that attack and the deployment of these that attack the terrorist forces in our land. You have seen how that is slowly ramping up from Uku to Manu. We are demonstrating new capabilities on the field. The technology is spreading. The reach of our materials are spreading. And the war is slowly changing. Even as we make progress in that front, we are also making progress in trying as much as possible to limit the damage of the internal infiltrators that have bedeviled some of our communities. The situation after the Battle of Kugwe against La République that took 1 week, after a battle with the internal infiltrators in order to bring calm to that region. That region has been returned to calmness, and a commission within the coming days will be set up within that community in order to iron out the last problems and make sure that going forward, a community partnership and a community group is set up that will prevent the infiltration of freed communities that turn them into hotbeds of anti-revolutionary activities. I expect in the coming days for those who knowingly or unknowingly fell prey to these internal infiltrators and saboteurs from La République du Cameroon to offer a public apology to the Ambazonian Defense Forces. Our goal is to rehabilitate. Our goal is to punish those who deserve punishment and to make sure that those who are out of ignorance and blindness are rehabilitated into the community. We have also, I want to use this opportunity not only to thank the massive work by the director of the Armory and all those who are working with him. I want to thank the massive work done by members of the Defense Council and members of the MESAM Restoration Council, who work together to form an alliance in order to keep out the infiltrators and make sure that the bastion, that is the fight for our independence, is MESAM, is maintained. Let me thank all those who work to bring this together. I have no doubt that this 1st October, Ambazonians will march down Commercial Avenue as they marched last October all around Ambazonia. With this alliance, by people who saw that they were following traitors in the form of the pastors interim government, who decided to think for themselves, who decided that this is not right, who decided that Ambazonian must be free, and came to the table with the Ambazonian Defense Council to hammer out an agreement for MESAM. It is cause for satisfaction for the Ambazonian people that we show La République and the world how we can come together to effect changes that are necessary for our liberation. My fellow countrymen, I cannot finish this by asking us to take a moment and remember the fallen heroes. Our Bamenda Brigade has been under enormous pressure within the past couple of weeks alone. We have lost 3 brave fighters. Let us remember the fallen heroes. In Bambili, let us remember them. In Manu, where they fell, let us remember them. In Kumbu, let us remember our heroes. Last but not least, in Dop, may their souls rest in peace. May the gods of Ambazonia take them into their ranks as they join the fight for our liberation beyond us. To their families, we owe a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid. You have the thanks of a grateful nation. We will not forget. They form the very best in us. My fellow countrymen, the toll is enormous. When I heard that Lapiro NS has fallen, I asked myself the question whether our land will be inherited by cowards if such brave men fall on the field of battle. Those two fell, not because they did not complete their mission, not because they had already achieved hero status at Mrs. Ngeng Junction. They had done that. They had set their ambush. A post that had been terrorizing our people, depriving them of money, humiliating them, making it such that our Bamenda brigade said that the humiliation was too much. They needed to do something. They took action. And they hit these terrorists. 3 of them on the ground, dead. The message was sent. Mission accomplished. Did these gentlemen leave and go back to be celebrated as heroes in their camp? No. For those 3 that were fallen, they saw lying on the ground tools, materials that they wanted to confiscate because the Ambazonian Defense Forces still need materials. And so 2 brave Ambazonians who had done everything that could have been asked of them, done acts of bravery beyond the imagining of us, decided to expose themselves in order to pick up fallen guns from the enemy. The question each of us have to ask: is one gun worth the life of such brave Ambazonians? One of those things cost, at the highest amount, $2,000. Is one of those worth the life of a veteran of the war that have fought in the hotbed of Bamenda for 3 years? Is one of those worth their life? My fellow countrymen, we are letting our people down. These boys should look at those materials as an option, as the option. They should be able to go to their camp, know that they are well equipped, that they don't need to expose themselves on the road in order to pick up one of those things. They could have the materials in their hand to overwhelm them so that they pick it up after they have overwhelmed what they had already accomplished. But their granite was gone. There are certain members in their camp that still lack sticks in their hands, AKs in their hands. And so they stepped on the road with Cameroon machine guns, firing, and they went to secure that material. And when one fell, the other went, until those materials were secured. At this moment, a campaign is being run. I know it is hard. I know we keep asking. But I would not have stood here and tell you the story of Shapiro and Enes, 2 brave young Ambazonians. I would not have stood here and told you that story if they did not force me to tell you. If by their sacrifice, tell me that it is not enough. that what we are doing is not enough, that more is needed from each and every one of us. That is the story they told us at Mrs. Gang Junction. That is the story of their sacrifice. My fellow countrymen, this is hard. This is very, very hard. But it is the price our men and women are willing to pay for our freedom. Let us step up. Let us do more. Let us go beyond. Let us honor them. They fall down. 2 veterans of the struggle to pick up a stick. Can someone take the challenge for them? That is their story. Can someone take the challenge for them and say, you offered your life for that stick, we will provide 10. You offer a life for that, in your name, we will consecrate 5. You offered your life for that, in that can we consecrate 1 in NS name. Let us pick up that challenge. You can do it through TTOF. Let us pick up a challenge for them. You know, in the coming days, a lot of things will be happening. But a lot of things are from La République du Cameroon on the Gabu massacre. I could not stomach reading the full cover-up. The whitewashing of the facts in the reports released by the terrorist Minister of Communication, the liar René Sadi. The horror perpetrated in Gabu that fateful morning of February 14 is one in a long line of massacres that constitute crimes against humanity and genocide that the terrorist regime of Yaoundé must bear full responsibility from the top down. And it is the duty of the international community to make sure that Mr. Paul Biya and his henchmen like René Sadi stand trial and answer for this crime. But we know that with friends like Switzerland and France, that will be a cold day in hell. What we can promise, what we must promise, is that an independent Ambazonia will mete out justice to all these genocidaires, no matter how long it takes. Even today, the Israelis are still hunting Nazis terrorists. They are a great example. Ambazonia will follow. Let me take this opportunity to send a message to Switzerland. The Swiss government, the Swiss nation will not escape culpability in the massacre of our people. Cameroon is a client state belonging to France. France is an old hand in the perpetration of genocide. They did not cover themselves in glory when they participated in the slaughter of 1 million Rwandans. That the Swiss are now involved in the genocide in Ambazonia, aiding and abetting Cameroon in the wholesale slaughter of our people while trying to pass itself off as a mediator, is a crime that will not escape, that they will not escape from tomorrow. Especially when Ambazonia comes to collect its debts. We know that the Swiss has actively taken a role in the fight in Ambazonia through payments to traitors. They have sought to sow division within the defense of our land. Have easy access into our land. They will not escape culpability. The contracts and economic access they seek from La République du Cameroon, I promise them, will bring irreparable damage to their reputation and their image. I do not know if those now working with the Swiss government and the government of La République du Cameroon as traitors and infiltrators against the people of Ambazonia set out to become this. Robert Hansen, one of the greatest Soviet spies in any era in human history, was an all-American boy. Robert Hansen helped destroy vast network of spies that the US has used decades to build within the Soviet Union and the Iron Curtain. Exposed incredible amount of plans that the American government had. One of the most successful infiltrators of a foreign power in American history. This all-American boy was embedded in the heart of America, a respected member of the dreaded Federal Bureau of Investigation. How could such a person operate within the heart of America's premier law enforcement agency for more than a decade, causing the death of hundreds of spies? How could he? What Robert Hansen did was to direct suspicion to the CIA. He informed and pointed the FBI investigators, even monitor it. Sometimes they reported to him about moves being made within the CIA. He directed them and pointed the finger that the type of information being released could only be released by someone high up within the Central Intelligence Agency. Does that ring a bell to you? When you look at your Chris Ano, your Samuel Sako, does that ring a bell with you? And the campaign they have waged on the ADF, does that ring a bell? Here's how these traitors and infiltrators have operated. Look, the day that I signed the order deploying the Ambazonian Defense Forces on the field in 2017, that morning, Mr. Ano, Chris Ano, was disappointed the next morning through Akosong and the communication department of the Hague of Sea. He was parading then as a journalist and a pastor. And it was like, when you guys make such a declaration, we expected to see the invasion. These after brave Ambazonians, the first in calling for the killing, the massacre of Ambazonians in Bu, in Lebialem, in Momo. Don't forget, the first time you heard him was when he stood up and asked for Sumoli and the rest to be killed because in Lebialem, because they were following a Bamenda man, Ayaba. Don't forget that. Look at the history. That is his history. All evidence because unfortunately, we have hundreds and thousands of Ambazonians that still believe in these infiltrators and traitors. Let me tell you the story of how Chief of Staff of the Ambazonian Defense Forces and close to 8 others were sold to La République du Cameroon. They were sold. They are now in Kondengi. They were sold not because they were in communication with Chris Anu. No. They were not in communication with him or with the Sakos. They were sold not because they did not know that Sako and Chris Anu were dangerous. No. They knew that in 2018 that these were potential traitors. They knew that. We knew that. They were sold by the good intention of a patriot volunteer. Somebody that our chief of staff knew that we had confidence with. Somebody that we have been operating with. But somebody who believed that the differences and the suspicion between the ADF, the Ambazonian Governing Council, and the interim government was just a philosophical difference. That is his belief. And so behind our back, in communication with the ANUs, with no knowledge, they use him to say that, oh, they are going to bring our boys together, let them come, they will bring their own guys, and they will discuss at that level on the field and come to an agreement, because at our level it will not be possible. We had no idea. Our boys going somewhere knowing that they are going for another mission had no idea. Immediately they reach in Calabar, at that hotel, Chris Anu immediately had them arrested. And so they were kidnapped and taken to Condé. I tell this story not to just talk about the treachery of Sako and his gang. I am relating this story to tell you what good intention Ambazonians, lacking of simple analytical thinking, believing in the good intention of these traitors, the damage they can cause, not knowing that they are being used by infiltrators. Because, let me take the recent example. The commander of Bamendankwe. That's a unit that we train and set up and put him on the march. He was working very seriously. Then these criminals, the Sakos, they went behind and undercut us and undercut him through his country people. What they call these their LGAs. Within 2 months of this boy switching to them, this boy was dead. Why? You ask that question. When they turn these forces, when they turn them, they have a simple message to them. Stop attacking La République du Cameroon. Your enemy is the ADF. Because the ADF is not listening to the government. So attack the ADF. Unfortunately, some of these boys have been trained by the ADF and put in place by the ADF. They tell them the ADF is working, the Ambazonian Defense Forces is working with La République. These boys know that to be a lie. So these boys don't follow order. The Mendankwe commander signed his death the day that he attacked the truck of La République du Cameroon, the pickup truck, the white pickup truck. Killed and took their materials, and the other ran away. Immediately, La République threw them. Asked who did that, where he was. They have to bring him to justice, and that is how that guy was leaked. They killed that boy inside where he is with his wife, not in Mendankwe, right in Babanki. They killed the wife with a little baby. The wife was pregnant. They knew where he was. They came right there and they massacred all of them because they had been sold out. Now, I don't know. I have no idea if their representative, the LGA of Mendankwe, of that region, if he was a traitor. I cannot say, I do not know that. What I do know is that once he takes this and go into communication with these non-traitors, this is what happened. It is not the first. I just use that as an example. It is not the first. It is not the second. It is not the third commander that after an action against La République, so long as they are connected to this LGA, the next minute they are on the run. In recent weeks, they attack the ADF, they are all right. The minute they attack La République, their scalp is on the block. They are gone. I am saying, look. I am saying this because this is dangerous. And there are a lot of these people around that goes and are telling from their communities what is going into their communities into these guys. And maybe some of them are patriots. They believe that they are doing all right. What they don't know is that those they are reporting to in their interim government are direct agents of La République du Cameroon. And that is how they are killing one after the other these commanders on the field. For those who don't attack the Ambazonian Defense Forces, you have seen them in Yaoundé. The Namberes, you have seen them in Yaoundé. So this is very, very critical. Look, intelligence report in the last 2 quarters of last year came to my desk about La République du Cameroon having designed a means of removing bees that are Ambazonians or Burmese that could pass as Anglophone, removing them and putting them like pack boys and send them in our communities. Some of them were Bayam Selams. Some of them were just parading as boys around the streets, trying to join the defense forces. Immediately I had that intelligence, I initiated a total freeze of all recruitment into the Ambazonian defense forces. Total. And initiated a program where each person coming into any community, no matter who, that the Ambazonian Defense Forces have a camp in, that person is immediately investigated. And if any of our people keep them in their community without telling the commander of that area, then that person is confiscated if it turns out that the person who came and rented that house was an infiltrator from La République du Cameroon. These guys have, through the SACOs and the ANUs, have joined a lot of these ASC forces. That is why for any of these force that attacks La République du Cameroon, it doesn't take 48 hours. The commander of that force is dead. I have no idea if that is what happened to Chacha in Bui. I have no idea. But that is the modus operandi. Look, the guys, there is Indok, part of the group that attacked Galim. There is one guy there connected to the LGA Indok. Since that attack, those commanders have been on the run. Because for the first time, La République had absolute liquidation. I am certain that these guys, and I'm saying this, any of you listening to this message, listen well. Because the way some of these commanders have been killed, it seems as if they are on the phone with somebody and they come right up to them. So any of the LGAs that have your commander's number in the hands of this SACO ANU IG, know that you might as well have handed the telephone number of these boys to La République du Cameroon. Because it seems as if most of them are on the phone and they are located right to the building where they are and killed. My fellow Ambazonians, we can decide to bury our head in the sand. We can decide to do that and still look at individuals who are clear traitors, betrayers as Ambazonia. You can do that. or you can listen to them. I am sorry with the difficulties. I am very sorry about the difficulties. But as I was saying, we can decide to bury our heads and not see. We can decide to be like the Americans and allow Robert Hansen 15 years to cause irreparable damage. Or we can, at this moment, be very clear about who these people are. Because they are not hiding it. The Ambazonian Defense Forces deputy chairman for the Savannah region got out a simple audio that clearly, in his own word, Chris Anu clearly indicated where he stands. He indicated that, let him break it down, what Chris Anu was saying. For a man who stands for the independence of Ambazonia to be talking about La République du Cameroon reconstructing the villages of the refugees to come back in, that tells you everything. For a man who should know that La République du Cameroon is a client state of France, that even up to today, La République du Cameroon is not independent because the French control their economy, their money, even succession to their power. He is there in his own words telling La République that this is what France wants. Do any of you Ambazonians believe that France wants their independence if it haven't given independence to La République du Cameroon? We can decide to be blind. But it will not be because of the facts. Because the facts are very clear. Just a few weeks ago, with the lies La République du Cameroon had told them, with the idea that they might actually provide them some crumbs in order to satisfy Ambazonians, gullible Ambazonians, with the sense that they will be coming to a unilateral ceasefire immediately they do this. Don't think that is their idea about ceasefire and all that just came out of the blue. La République had indicated to them that as a goodwill gesture, they were going to release some prisoners, which will form the vehicle through which they were going to capitulate to La République du Cameroon openly. During that time, they went in jail, name by name, person by person, making sure that they get all the names of the non-ADF, non-AGOVC captives, so that these will not be mistakenly released. Because they knew that they were they were fighters. That is what happened in jail. And you think that these people are working for us? Working for Ambazonia? Look, at this moment as we speak, just a few days ago, 25 million was transferred to them through the wives of one, transferred to them from the Prime Minister of La République du Cameroon. That is a fact. Through another source, and maybe that is why they killed Chacha. Through another source, they were asking for money from La République du Cameroon in order to transfer the 23 captives that they had in Bull. To transfer them to La République du Cameroon. A thought that came to their head after they had been giving orders for murder, giving orders for massacre, after they have already sanctioned the massacre of those boys. You have the rats jumping off the ship now. Those who were used coming out and talking. My fellow Ambalanders, how many traitors have come out of the ranks of these guys? How many? You have Nambere, after he had gone out, after he had run from Ambazonia, after what he did in Guzang with the ADF, and knew what was going to happen to him. He took off in exile in Nigeria. And together with the Sakos, was making video how they have given him 50 AKs for battle. Those were his consorts. Where is Nambere today? Where is Nick Santos, another of his cohorts? Where is Yannick Sikot? Where are they? Again and again and again, traitors, one after the other, coming out, one after the other. Do we need an iron hammer to be hit on our head before we understand that this is an infested ship of traitors? Is there smoke without fire? Know that these are thieves. You would see Santos will go, you see Yannick go. These are people that are struggling for position as the main betrayer, to become the main Judas. So they are crossing and double crossing the order. That's why you see this content drip, drip, drip of traitors jumping ship and coming out. Because they want to undercut each other. The stench is enormous, is smelling. The stench is overpowering. It is overpowering. These are both men who have dogged the ADF, the Ambazonian Defense Forces, from one end of Ambazonia to the other. Today we are fighting battles that we had already won. Think about it. We set up a military base in Manu, at Dadi. We had captured Manu. These infiltrators get into it. Now we are back in the Battle of Manu. We liberated Meme. Liberated it. These very traitors are the one who turned the greatest hero of General Ivo. And some of you started thinking that General Ivo was being sponsored by La République du Cameroon, by Atanganji. They saw Fonchas. Where are they? Those were the people. They saw Fonchas. These these are their cohorts. Every one of them turning out to be traitors. The Dr. Success. Over and over and over and over again. That's Meme laying in ruins. That is bandits and infiltrators docked us into it. Where is Fako today? We are back in the Battle of Fako. A battle that we had pushed to my 16 and Moliko. They got in there. Where are we in Boo? We are back now, restoring order in Momo. Folks, this is hard. This is tough. Fortunately for them, we knew that it was not going to be a walk in the park. Unfortunately for them, we knew that this is not going to be easy. We knew that this was going to be tough. And we knew that we will be there till the end. And if any of them had any doubt that we will fight to the last man, they should sit in to the debriefing of the hundreds of troops who invaded Kugwe. If they still believe that this was a joke, they should listen to the story of how Shapiro and Enes died. If they think that for 1 minute the Ambazonian people will ever succumb, they should hear the story of Ndop. After our forces sent a message by invading Ngalin in La République du Cameroon, and they sold the position of our troops. They brought in a death squad with cannons, the type of cannons that they put grenade in and shoot. They were not coming to fight our forces. They were coming to send a message to Ambazonia to create another Ngabu. Our commander in Dop, a major general, that night when these guys arrived, told me that, gave me his last wishes, that this were what I was going to do for him, because he knew that by morning they will be dead. What he said was that this is not a fight they will come through. He sees the way that these guys have come in, and they cannot withdraw, because if they withdraw, the people are dead. It was very clear. What he did was send those who did not have arms in their hands to turn into town criers. That's what happened, because phone could no longer work. They were already there. Hundreds of them. Trucks of them. And so those who did not, the vigilantes, were moving from door to door, shouting on the street and running for everybody to evacuate. The whole of that night. And as they were doing that, our boys, and these buffoons from La République, never, ever in their wildest dream thought that any Ambazonian would attack such a force, because the way they were coming, how they were, the type of materials they had in their hands, they knew that just their presence sends everybody into the bush. And so they sat there, never expecting, and we hit them. We hit them hard. Helicopters had to come in when they had withdrawn themselves into a tight perimeter. It was days after that helicopters had to come in to evacuate the dead bodies from them. If to the pastor this does not send them a message, then I doubt they will ever receive it. But then, that is the mindset of betrayers. That is the mindset of greed. That they look at the situation, all they are looking at is their stomach. What it is in for me. But let me promise them this. The French people, by the end of the Second World War and the start of the new decade, wiped out more than 15,000 traitors and infiltrators. They totally wiped from the earth some of the names of families that were traitors with the Nazis. The Americans, the Russians, the Israelites, we are not going to be a different breed of people. We will pay them for this suffering, for this prolongation of the suffering of the Ambazonian people. Chris Ano, Sako, and all those who follow them. These messages are not hard to comprehend. I don't think that anybody will be able to say that I did not know, I was following them unknowingly. Those who stand by them today, those who are with them, you bear equal responsibility for their actions. He will hold not only them, but you accountable. We will win. We will win. We are not here to fight a 10-year war or a 20-year war. We will win. The blueprint is clear. We have always met our goals. We have always set our plans, and we have always met them. If anybody think for one moment that we as a people will not gain our liberation, then they did not get this into this with the right mindset. Liberty is a timeless quality. You cannot put a timeline on liberty. Never. Never. There is no timeline for liberty. It is a timeless commodity. From the slaves who left Africa, liberty was a timeless quality from generation to generation. From the serfs in Europe, from the Americans, liberty is liberty. It is not a 1-year project or a 3-year project or a 10-year project. It is as timeless as mankind. So if these buffoons think that for one moment the idea of liberty for Ambazonia is a quality that is timed, that within this time that idea will be wiped out of our people, they just fool themselves. they are as dumb as their action in betraying their own people are. Every single day, our men and women on the field are fighting. They are fighting for an objective. They are fighting for a timeless quality. We will win. We will win. Folks, the Ambazonian Defense Forces have always come to you with a project. And those projects have always been well thought out and measurable. The campaign of the T2OF is the only campaign in Ambazonia right now that is backed by a clear strategy. A strategy of liberating and freeing our people from this long nightmare that is La République du Cameroon and its infiltrators. They have tried through their parliamentarians. They did not succeed. They used the chiefs. They did not succeed. They used Ekema and Antanganji. They did not succeed. In all that time, as they tried one measure against the other, one against the other, the Sakos and the Anus were gaining credibility within us, as Robert Hansen gained within the FBI. And after all this, Sako and Chris Anu has now taken the place of Atakanji and Ekema, destroying the struggle from within. They will not succeed. And that is why we must redouble. If you have signed up for the TTOF, bring in others, bring in one more. Let us back this project that in the end should wipe out this nightmare that is La République. That I promise you, that is their occupation of our land and the turning of our people one against the other by their infiltrators. The project is ongoing. Some of the massive investments being made in our armory, in the war economy, in our communication, those moves are beginning to bear fruit. I am asking you, download, search and download the Ambazonia radio on your phone and make sure that any individual that can do the same in Ambazonia or La République du Cameroon, you make them download that so that they are getting uncorrupted communication. That a lot of these messages are getting through to them. That will help in combating the message of defeatism, of tribalism, of internal warfare being preached by the alphabet television of the thieving and betraying pastors, Mr. Sako and Anu. I promise you, and I ask you, I call on you to defend the revolution. A call to arms to defend our revolution. Don't for one moment close your eyes. Don't for one moment, even within your family, open the eyes of those who refuse to open their eyes to the atrocities being caused against our people by the pastors. It's a crusade. It's a crusade that must go on from each and every one of us to weed from our midst these infiltrators that are making us battle in areas that we have already conquered. I ask for your prayers for our boys. I ask for your support for them. I ask for our prayers for the refugees and our land.
put me in your thoughts. Thank you. May God bless you. And may God bless our boys in the field and Ambazonia.